For decades, the rules of money were pretty much set in stone. They were written by Wall Street, by venture capitalists in closed-off boardrooms. But what if all of that is changing? What if those rules are being completely torn up and rewritten from scratch? Well, a recent conference called SuperCrowd25 gave us a look at the people building that next chapter of finance. And it's a chapter where capital has a whole new meaning. This quote from the conference host, Devin Thorpe, really just nails it, doesn't it? This isn't about some new app or a slightly better financial product. No, this is a movement. The whole goal is to fundamentally change who gets a shot at building something and who actually gets to benefit when it succeeds. It's a huge idea, and it changes absolutely everything. So, okay, how is this actually happening? Well, it all starts right here. Crowdfunding is officially growing up. It's moved way beyond just being a cool way to fund a passion project. It is now a sophisticated, professional industry with serious money and, you guessed it, very serious players. And when you look closely, you start to see these 5 core themes that really tell the whole story. We're going to see how the industry is professionalizing, how it's going both global and local at the same time, how it's empowering brand new investors, building a real tech ecosystem, and, this is the big one, discovering that community is its most valuable asset. Just look at the difference here. The transformation is stark. We are moving away from that old black box of closed networks and secret handshakes to a totally new ecosystem. This new world is all about open platforms, democratized access for everybody, and, crucially, data-driven transparency. It's a complete paradigm shift. And look, this isn't just an idea anymore. It's a real functioning market. How do we know? Because a whole professional infrastructure has been built around it. You've got firms like Set Apart Accountancy that have done over 1,000 audits just for crowdfunding companies. You have platforms like Dealmaker that are processing billions with a B in capital. This is what it looks like when an industry truly arrives. Okay, so as this industry gets more and more professional, a really fascinating paradox is starting to pop up. The future of capital, it turns out, is happening on 2 fronts at the exact same time. It's becoming truly global and at the same time intensely local. First, let's look at the global scale. $3 billion. What does that number mean? Well, for Ethiopia, that's the amount of money sent home every single year in remittances. But founder Meseret Warner had this brilliant insight. What if that money wasn't just for family support? What if it was actually a massive, untapped pool of investment capital coming from the most motivated investors you can imagine, the diaspora? But at the very same time, this movement is transforming single neighborhoods. On the hyperlocal front, you have innovators like Dr. Van Williams, who are delivering over 25% returns to his investors by building affordable housing. And here's the magic. He's also saving the residents up to 30% on their living costs. It's a powerful dual return, a fantastic investment that's also fantastic for the community. Now, both of these models, the global diaspora and the local housing, they're the antidote to this concept, which Chris Miller from the National Coalition for Community Capital calls extractive capital. This is that traditional model, right? Where money comes into a community, takes what it wants, and then leaves, just hollowing the place out. These new models are designed to be the exact opposite. They're regenerative, keeping wealth and value circulating right there at home. So we've got a maturing industry and these cool new models for capital. But who's actually doing the investing? Well, the answer to that question reveals another revolutionary idea. A whole new class of investors on the rise. And they're blurring the lines between a business and its biggest fans.
The term, and it's a great one, was coined by Sherwood Nice, Investomer. It's such a simple but profound idea. Your most passionate customers are your absolute best potential investors. Why? Because when you convert them, you're not just raising money. You're building an army of brand evangelists who are literally financially invested in your success. This is that community as the core asset idea in action.
And there's a really clear playbook for this. It's a whole strategic process. You identify these key customers, you engage them, and you turn what could be just a financial transaction into a massive marketing and community building event. This creates what's called a flywheel effect, a self-reinforcing cycle of patient capital from people who love what you do and deep loyalty from investors who feel like they're true partners. But for this all to work, these new investors need tools, right? They can't just invest based on passion alone. And that's where platforms like Kingscrowd come in. Founder Chris Lustrino calls his company the Morningstar for the private markets. And that's exactly what it is. It gives everyday people the data and analytics they need to evaluate startup deals with the same kind of rigor as a professional VC. But right after we talk about data, we have to talk about wisdom. Veteran investor Carl Dawkins reminds us that it's not all about the numbers. He argues the most critical factor is the human element, that deep alignment of values between the founder and the investor. The modern investor's playbook requires both. You need the hard data from a platform like Kingscrowd, and you need that qualitative human judgment that Dawkins is talking about. Okay, so we have a maturing industry, a global yet local focus, and a brand new class of empowered investors. This all paints a really clear picture of right now. But where does this whole movement go from here? What's the next chapter really look like? Looking ahead, 4 key trends really stand out. First, platforms are going to get way more specialized, focusing on niches like regenerative agriculture or social justice. Second, AI and data will become even more central, making it easier for everyone to do their homework. Third, keep an eye out for new regulations that will act as a major catalyst for growth. And finally, all of this is pushing toward one huge goal: a seamless global market for community capital. And that brings us right back to where we started. The old rules of finance are being challenged by a new model that's more democratic, more transparent, and more focused on community. It's an industry that's moving from a niche idea into a real professional force. So the final question isn't really about what's going to happen, it's about participation. As these rules are being rewritten, what role will you play?